Welcome back to the Tool Crib. Today we're going to be talking about the updated version of the TiRant Razor. On the left I have the version 2 from Exceed Designs, which I purchased about 2 years ago, and I recently upgraded about 2 months ago to the version 3. And their changes are they're subtle, but they really enhance an already great user experience with this particular knife. Now, you can get these in a variety of price ranges. So the base models start out at about $80, and you can get those, depending on how you customize them, up to about $190 to $200. There's a lot of different options that come with these. First of all, they're going to be titanium handles. You can get a version where it has the right hand handle in carbon fiber, which I actually am getting one of those. I purchased one, and hopefully I'll have it in a few days, where it's going to be black DLC coated on one side and then carbon fiber on the other, to see what the weight reduction is on this particular knife. But again, there's a lot of different options that come with these. Now, I know that the price for most people, especially in today's economy, is going to be that $80 entry level price is going to be a little rich for a lot of people. I completely get that. When there's a lot of different options on the market, like the one that comes to mind is going to be the Milwaukee Fastback editions. This happens to be the 1500s, kind of their entry level or their most simplified utility blade holder from Milwaukee. It's a great knife, and a lot of the other Milwaukee Fastback versions are very, very good as well. They're a little cheaper made. There's going to be plastic on steel, but they function well and they do their job. Where this one is going to be in titanium, a lot more premium material. What I really like about these is that they are a lot more streamlined. They just kind of disappear in your pocket. The action on these flippers is fantastic. Never has failed. They're easy to break apart, to maintain, to get cleaned out, relubricate them, whatever you need to do. It's one of the features about this that I very much like as well. Now, the reason that I bought the version 3 was not because there was anything wrong with the version 2. It's excellent and has worked excellent from the day I put it in my pocket. It's one of those few items in EDC where it has never left me since the day I purchased it, and that's very rare to say for me. Apart from the Leatherman Surge, it's one of the only things that I could ever say about that. I have other things that I shift in and out with EDC, but the Surge is a mainstay, and this Exceed Designs is a mainstay. So the only reason I pulled this one out of my pocket is because I bought the upgraded version. Now, I want to talk about some of the subtle changes on here. These run in at about 2.5 ounces. You can get them, obviously, with customizable stuff, so you can get them in different colors. You can get them with customized scales, limited versions of customized scales. I think they have a blue version, a brown version, a black version, and then you can get the stone wash. You can get all kinds of different patterns on the right hand handle and the left hand handle, for that matter, in some configurations. So they are incredibly streamlined. Oh, here's another. This one, let me pull this one out here. If I can get that to release, the stuff that they send these packagings in. So this was the packaging that I got for my version 2. You can switch the regular lanyard hole out here on the back for a pry tool that will direct drop in for that. I didn't get this one with the version 3 because I already had it with the version 2, and it sticks out a little bit taller. And I actually just rather prefer the lanyard loop on the backside. I don't really use the pry tool on this, so that I already had it, so there was no reason to add it to the next purchase. Now, let's go over a couple of the subtle changes here. The one that glaring is how they reconfigured the pivot here. So they also send you some spares, so this is the stuff that comes with it. Just a standard version for the V3 has a pin that goes on the back here, replacement screws if you so need them, the wrench to do all the work on it, the new detent bar up here, and then here's the pivot. And what I like about this is they square that off, and the reason for that is it allows you to break down this knife on that pivot point using just one wrench, and the square will hold in, so you don't need a backup. I really like that. I wish they could do that with the back screw as well. It would make maintenance on this just that much more simplified. As it is now, it's a single wrench to do this one, but on the back you really need to use two Allen head wrenches in order to get the back pivot or the back pin out. That's one thing that I wish they could change in their future version. Don't know if it's going to be possible because of the size of that screw. A couple of the other changes, if you'll notice that on this one, everything, the two halves of the blade holder itself are flush with one another. So there's no raised portion to it. And as far as blade exchange goes, with these two halves, all you have to do is just kind of push your finger against the top of that one, and you can swap the blade out and get it switched around. You heard the detent in there where it locks in place. Now, while there is an ever so slight movement, it is so minuscule, it's almost not even worth mentioning it. This thing is rock solid. Now, on the newer version, they changed that a little bit. There's a little raised portion on the second half here, which just gives you a little bit more surface area in order to push down and get those halves separated in order to get your blades exchanged. You can kind of see that a little bit more here in the frame itself. They mill out a little indentation for that extra raised piece there, so that when it folds up, it seats in there nice and smooth, where in the V2 version, obviously, that's not going to have that. I think I'd have to check, but I think they upgraded the ball bearings in the pivot just slightly, so there's a little better version of that as well. And the last thing that they changed on here was the detent bar now holds in with two screws instead of a single screw. I don't know that they necessarily needed to do that, but hey, more security is even better, right? You can get these with a smaller clip. This is their standard clip, and it's 50 some odd millimeters. I don't remember what it is for sure, but you can get a shorter version of this if you don't really like that super deep carry. You can get it in like a 32 millimeter, I believe is what it is. I've actually got another version of this knife on the way. It is going to be a black DLC with a carbon fiber right hand scale, and the reason I got that is because I want to see what the weight reduction is going to be. This one again comes in at about 2.5 ounces. I'm hoping that going carbon fiber on this scale might shave off a half an ounce. I'm not sure if it will or not. I'll just have to see when I get it in hand. This is one of those tools that I cannot recommend enough. I've used a lot of different utility blade holders over the years, and while they all do their job to some degree, but the user experience, the slim package that this comes in is so streamlined, it's so light, works incredibly well. It is just the total package of a utility blade holder, and while the price is a little rich for most people, and understandably so, it's one of those tools that I cannot possibly recommend to you enough. I believe if you buy one, you will never ever regret purchasing it. Now, what I think they could do in a third version, we already talked about the one thing that back here on the back, is if it's possible to change the screw design back here more so to match the pivot of the new version 3, that would be a welcome change. And the last thing that would, in my personal opinion, would make this just the most ideal utility blade holder ever, is if they were able to incorporate this little notch that you'll see. This is the Milwaukee Fastback. This is the 1505, 4822 1505. This is for wire stripping. This thing works incredibly well. Now, I realize that obviously you can do wire stripping tasks with the main blade. It's just a lot safer in this configuration, and it's so easy to do. You're not worrying about slipping off, slicing your thumb. You just give a little bit of pressure, spin it around your wire, and then just bring it up so that you're on the insulation a little further up. Grab it. Well, I didn't quite get that cut all the way through there. Let me do that again, and then it separates very nicely. Actually, I missed it for a second time. I'll tell you what, let me cut that off real quick. We're going to try it again. I think because you're on camera, everything always fails when you're trying to do it on camera. So let me cut that off, and we'll give it a shot again. Hopefully we'll get it on the first try this time. So you just swing that around, just get it scored, bring it up, grab the insulation, pull it forward so you can pull it off of there, and you can see just how clean of a wire stripping job it does. And there's a safety feature in there because, again, you're not worried about your thumb slipping off, catching the blade. It's one thing that I hope that they could add in a version 3 of this tool, or excuse me, a version 4 of this tool. I'm sure there's other ideas out there that you could add on to it. I'm sure a lot of people would like to see get a screwdriver incorporated into something like this. I actually don't think that's a good idea because I think it takes away from the slimness of this tool, which is one of the things that makes it so great. So I'll pull the 1500 in here and you can kind of get an idea on size. This is just about a 1/2 inch shorter, but the width on here is just, it's a huge difference in width. It's almost half the width of what you'll get with the Milwaukee Fastback 1500. And while this is a very good utility tool on the job site, it's obviously cheaper made. It's not going to have the premium materials that you're going to get in the Exceed designs. And it works fine. It's just this, you can use it both at work, you can use it away from work. It's one of those tools that will fit anywhere. You can carry it with you at all times and always have a nice sharp blade. Utility blade holders get overlooked somewhat sometimes, in my opinion. But, and again, I've used a lot of different ones. A lot of different ones, from cheap to very expensive. This is the very best that I've ever encountered. This is the TiRant Razor V3, and I'm looking forward to version 4. My name is Ben. You've been watching the Texas Tool Crib. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next one.